Hello everyone, welcome to Dharma Podcast with Sandeep Balakrishna. This conversation with Sandeep, we shall focus on what has incorrectly been labelled as the Pahalgam terror attack. It actually is a Pahalgam Hindu massacre, and that is what it should be called. While a lot of debate is out in the public domain, the perspective we would like to seek from Sandeep in this conversation is: are we addressing symptoms, or are we looking at the root causes of the genesis of the Kashmir problem, and then get into details on could it have been anticipated, what is the way forward, and are we seeing parallels of Kashmir build up in other parts of India too? So let's get the conversation started, Sandeep, post the tragic and brutal Hindu massacre in Pahalgam. Sandeep, the reason we have you here is to go beyond the discussions that are in the public domain on the Pahalgam Hindu massacre, like I said. The obvious questions being, could it have been anticipated? Was there a security lapse? I think those are still out for debate. What we would like you to shed some light on is what exactly is the Kashmir problem? Is it being addressed symptomatically, or is there something more that can be done? And then we'll have further questions as we continue the conversation. So could you share your initial thoughts?
Yeah, sure. Parag, thanks for framing the today's topic in this fashion. Actually, it gives me a good foundation to build a conversation on. What is essentially known as the Kashmir problem, I'll address that later in with some historical backdrop. It reminds me of all such things, be it Bengal or Kashmir or even Tamil Nadu or Kerala. All these are all troubled spots which, if not contained now, will eventually erupt into a massive implosion and which will cost the Indian nation a very great deal if we are not careful. I'm reminded of a very memorable quote by Will Durant, one of the greatest historians of the world. So he said that most people spend most of their time over the events that have occurred in the last 24 years than the events that have occurred in the last 6,000 years. So this kind of superficial analysis, I place it, how do I put it, at a mediocre, on the plane of mediocrity. So anyway, now let's look at Kashmir. I mean, as brutal and as horrible that massacre was, I mean, what the hell does it mean, man? You live in the age of instant communication, instant video communication. That image of that poor lady sitting there with the, dead body of her husband. That is a poster kind of thing, advertisement for the savages out there who did, they stripped down males and checked their genitals just to prove that, just to verify whether they were really Muslim or Hindu, and then shot them. This most people don't understand or know or have experienced, God forbid, a proper Hindu-Muslim riot, especially in the 1990s, and even more so during the partition riots. This used to be common. Based on if you're wearing a tilak, God forbid, that's it. Instant death.
You're a sitting duck.
Finish. And then if you start, some people, even if they recite the kalmas, they would ensure that they would be stripped down and their penis would be examined. So this is par for the course. This is, the seeds. What motivates this sort of behavior. But anyway, so Kashmir, the word Kashmir comes from the Sanskrit root called Kash. Kash means light, or radiance, or illumination. Kashmir is also the land, another derivation comes from, a very profound story, which basically says that it was the land of Rishi Kashyapa. And the word derivation for Kashyapa also comes from the word Kash.
Okay.
Means it is the abode of sages and gods. And what has it become?
Yes.
Now, returning once again to this Pahalgam targeted massacre of Hindu tourists, we should have actually looked at that Pakistani army general Munir, that guy's infamous press conference or whatever, where
Speech,
he said, where he clearly said, uh, he clearly reiterated the founding goal and purpose of Pakistan. He clearly said, sitting army chief, can you ever imagine the Indian army chief or the Indian Navy or the Air Force chief calling a press conference like that and, declaring India as a place where, as a Hindu Rashtra, to put it, bluntly. Can you even imagine this? But that is normal there. You don't get to be an army chief if you don't subscribe to the founding ideals. And his it was a exhibition of bigotry, plain and simple. And it once again tells us that no matter what, Pakistan never forgets why it was formed in the first place. So when you ask me what this Kashmir issue is, these are the roots. The Kashmir issue is basically the same issue, if you want to frame it like that, if you want to use a word issue. It is the same issue which prompted the carving out of undivided Bharatavarsha. As simple, and Pakistan has, it has never forgotten why it was created in the first place, and all the internal fights and madrasa and mosque bombings and the Shia Sunni bloodbath that keeps going on, all that, they will vanish the moment a call is given to fight Kafir Hindustan. We don't have that clarity. They have never, they're completely unambiguous, Parag, and this kind of thing. What unites Pakistan is a hatred of India.
Imagine that is the only glue.
That is the only glue that binds them together. No. They don't have an economy to speak of. They don't have infrastructure. They are killing each other. They're slitting each other's throats over a bag of wheat. Remember?
And yet,
all that is forgotten. All your internal fights and your essentially a rotten terrorist state, a bigoted, sorry excuse of a country, of a republic, all that is somehow forgotten because why? Kafir. That is the thing. That's always been the thing. There are a couple of beautiful quotes from Leon Ury, the acclaimed author of this massive bestseller called Exodus. So he's, I'll read out a couple of quotes that will tell you why Pakistan, or it forgets all its internal dissensions and fights and stands as one the moment Hindustan is mentioned. So here is a quote. Quote number 1. So, before I was 9, I had learned the basic canon of the Arab life. It was me against my brother, me and my brother against our father, my family against my cousins and the clan against the tribe, and the tribe against the world, and all of us against the infidel.
Actually, it just summarizes the essence.
That's it. One more quote from Leon Ury. All right, here is it. Nonsense. Islam is unable to live at peace with anyone. We Arabs are the worst. We can't live with the world, and even more terrible, we can't live with each other. In the end, it will not be Arab against Jews, but Arab against Arab. One day, our oil will be gone, along with our ability to blackmail. We have contributed nothing to human betterment in centuries unless you consider the assassin and the terrorist as human gifts. The world will tell us to go to hell. We, who tried to humiliate the Jews, will find ourselves humiliated as the scum of the earth. Close quotes. Now replace oil here with nuclear weapon. Blackmail. Everything is the same. So you see, this is how we should analyze these issues. तो वो है. Then while Pakistan has this kind of clarity out there in its political and theological establishment, you cannot look at the situation out here in India. You cannot put two Hindu Swamis on the same dais. They will start arguing about whose chair is taller. Okay? It pains me to say this,
It's true.
but it is true in our verifiable everyday experience. And what we should also not forget is that Pakistan is the only Islamic nation to be created from the scratch in the 20th century without a formal war.
True, actually, shocking.
Right? This is hiding in plain sight. And partition of India, the partition of undivided Bharatavarsha, was a pause. It was not a climax. Pakistan is still the unfinished Mughal dream. Damn simple. You wanted Pakistan. Why? Because you were scared to live under the alleged tyranny of a Hindu majority Hindustan. That's why you wanted Pakistan.
Correct.
You were scared of Hindus, yes. Muslim League back then considered the Indian National Congress as a Hindu party. Today, I just saw on the way that Congress social media team has put up one photo.
Yes, yes.
A
Good you brought it
headless photo of Narendra Modi, Prime Minister
Yes.
Narendra Modi. What is that? Sir Tan Se Juda. And remember, 75 years ago, Muslim League used to call the Indian National Congress as a Hindu party.
The degeneration is, it's a treason actually. It's boiling down to
Quite
treason.
extraordinary, no? See, if you are not vigilant, this is what happens, Parag. If we as Hindus have to survive, we have to be paranoid and vigilant. As simple as that. Damn simple.
Yeah.
Or you have to outbreed everyone. Damn simple.
It reminds me of Andy Grove's famous book, Only the Paranoid Survive, although it was in the corporate context.
True.
True.
Absolutely. So that, and like I said, Pakistan, creation of Pakistan is a unfinished Mughal dream. And look what happened almost in the immediate aftermath of partition of India. It recruited a bunch of Afghan tribals and other malcontents in the Kashmir Valley, and I think barely within a year of partition of India, they launched a jihad against Kashmir, in Kashmir. And where did they get the money to launch this jihad? That money was given by the arch blackmailer named Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi. He went on a fast, he sat on a fast and demanded Nawab Nehru's government to give 55 crores to this Pakistan.
Oh, this was demanded.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well known actually. And a good chunk of that money was used to fund this jihad against Kashmir. Simple. And here's the other interesting point. Iron Man of India, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, he integrated 550 odd princely states into the new Indian Union. Few people remember the enormity of the task. Alright, 550, when the British left, they did not declare independence only to British India. They told the princes and the rajas and maharaj that, you're also free to found your own nation. So you would have a separate Punjab country, a separate Patiala country, a separate Mysore country. Imagine. So how did Patel integrate all these princely states? Nobody, it's a heroic story actually,
Absolutely.
which is sadly buried in our history textbooks. But anyway, even in mainstream narratives. But look what happened when Nawab Nehru took just one state, Kashmir, and he said, "Main Kashmiri Pandit hu. I will resolve it. Nobody knows. I have the magic key that will, solve this problem permanently." And it has become a permanent headache to us.
Absolutely.
Okay. And as far as world politics, put it in a generic fashion, on the international stage, everybody agrees, including many Muslim countries, they agree that Pakistan has become a global curse. But what else is happening within Pakistan since it was founded? Over the decades, the elite of Pakistan, it has mastered the dark art of speaking in multiple tongues and from multiple orifices in the body. Okay? And they have cynically used the mullahs who have let themselves be used by this political elite. And these mullahs, what have they done repeatedly even today? They have inflamed ordinary people. They have managed to set up a massive jihadi infrastructure that is unrivaled anywhere in the world. This jihadi madrasa infrastructure, terror producing factories, is perhaps the most prolific in the world, only in Pakistan, nowhere else. Okay? And what do these madrasas produce? They produce generations of people like brainwashed fellows like Ajmal Kasab. And what do these elites do? They sit comfortably, enjoy their political power and influence and all the ill-gotten wealth, and stash their billions and billions of dollars abroad and send their children, give them fancy education abroad in Western universities.
And now, if you go by the reports, the families of most of the top brass have fled already.
Yeah, they've fled
to these safer havens.
So, look at the parallel here and the elite of the Hamas.
Exactly the same.
Which elite of Hamas has been harmed in the Israel attacks?
None.
So that. And now coming back to Kashmir, Parag, what is the first thing that happens when a demographic change occurs slowly? One, that is a point we'll discuss in some other episode. But when a demographic change occurs like an explosion, that is when a virtual army of jihadis take over any area, the first thing that happens is the destruction of sanctity. Now, here is the thing, Parag. When you go back even to just 7 decades ago, how much of the Hindu history of Pakistan and Bangladesh have survived? Why? Because there are no more Hindus there. Their sacred places have vanished. Pakistan, for example, what is known as Pakistan, large parts of what is known as Pakistan were the cradles of the Hindu civilization. Takshashila, one of the greatest universities in the world, that was in Pakistan. Mulastana, Multan, I think we have discussed this at length. Where are all they? What have all they become? Mulastana today has the largest concentration of Sufi shrines anywhere in the world. That was the first major Tirtha Kshetra to be occupied by Muhammad bin Qasim, 712. We are in 2025. How many years? How many centuries?
But this is exactly what this religion does well.
Yeah.
I mean, in terms of erasing.
No, it is codified.
Codified, yeah, actually.
It is codified. Because nothing else other than that cult should survive anywhere in the world. All methods are sanctioned and even, endorsed. So, wo hai, you have lost your civilization and memory. When you lose not only the physical destruction, it is a loss of civilizational and narrative memory. And history is nothing but memory.
Absolutely. And narrative memory, like you beautifully said.
Gone.
What do you narrate when there is nothing to narrate?
Nothing survives, no?
Yes, sadly.
So, do you want all the ruined Hindu sites in Pakistan, Afghanistan? At least the Greeks have preserved the ruins of their, temples and their where they used to perform the platforms where they used to perform orations and divinations. So they
moved away from their primary religion.
They have become archaeological sites.
Yes.
In Pakistan, Afghanistan, हमारा वो नसीब भाग्य भी नहीं है. See, this is what happens. Literature. Panini was from Pakistan. Without Panini, there is no Sanskrit grammar. See what's happened.
Yep.
Sindh, for example, what is known as the Sindh province in Pakistan, it was a great hub of Sanskrit literature. It was a great hub, I think, of one branch of Samaveda. Gone. I can keep rattling out these lists. So the Kashmir problem, okay, let's come to Kashmir again. Even in recent memory, the Kashmir Sharada script has been preserved everywhere in the world except in Kashmir, in the land of its birth. Kashmir was also a great center of Sanskrit learning.
Yes, yes.
Many of its acclaimed literateurs, poets, writers, people, kings from Karnataka, emperors from Karnataka, gave them a red carpet welcome and they patronized them, kept them in their court. So this is the whole point. Look at the sprawl and the extent of destruction, Parag.
And the destruction in Kashmir happened right under the noses of post-partition.
Yeah, in our growing up years. We were in college or something.
But this is where, unfortunately, while not linking it back to an overused term, pseudo-secularism and appeasement has caused the loss of civilization memory.
Absolutely. A bunch of Hindu politicians sitting at the top, especially the Nawab Nehru dynasty, that has been responsible for the jihadification of Kashmir. And a bunch of Brahmin leaders and intellectuals of the Communist Party of India, Jyoti Basu most notably, and out in Kerala, EMS Namboodiripad, Pakka Brahmin, they have jihadified West Bengal. And our great Didi has learnt all the worst traits and tactics and technologies from Communist Party, and she's taken it to a whole new level. Tell me, is there any technical difference, except in some minor detail, is there any difference between what is happening in Bengal and what happened in December or October last year in Bangladesh when that Yusuf fellow took over? Mohammed Yunus. Technically, what is the difference, sir?
Yeah, it's exactly the same pattern.
Same thing, no?
I mean, the army gave their lives for absolutely a wasteful reason.
Same thing. Yes. So this is what happens, and make no mistake that what is unfolding in Bengal is exactly what unfolded in Kashmir in the after 89, between that late 80s and onwards throughout the 90s, when the news of terror became normalized. First it used to be on the headlines of the front page for 1 week and then pushed into page 3 or page 4. And then it became a box item buried in page 7 or page 8, column 4.
Well, I
Three
think
Kashmiris gunned down. And the narrative, earlier it used to be jihadis, gunned down Kashmiri Pandits. Okay. Then it became terrorists gunned down. Then it became militants. Gunned down whom? No idea.
They could have been killed by an earthquake also, the way Pahalgam reportage has happened, right?
Dekha? You see how the narrative gets shaped.
And in the case of West Bengal, even the 4th column and the 7th page is not available because of the complete silence of the mainstream
absolutely. Media. It is a reign of terror, as simple as that. So this, it is happening in front of our eyes. Anyway, so Dhaka, for example, now it is in Bangladesh. Dhaka was one of the world's greatest universities in the late 19th century till the creation of Pakistan. Sir Ashutosh Mukherjee, one of the greatest scholars and educationists the world has seen. Ashutosh Mukherjee is none other than Shyama Prasad Mukherjee's father.
Oh, okay.
So people like him, Jadunath Sarkar, R.C. Majumdar, Kwanungo, a galaxy of scholars built up Dhaka University. You have to look at the journals, old journals of Dhaka University, the quality, the depth and the sheer sweep of scholarship. All on, they used to publish very learned articles on Vedanta, on Hindu sculpture. Can you ever imagine even 1% of that kind of work being done in the Dhaka University of today?
No, associating scholarship with Bangladesh itself is a travesty.
Thank you. Yeah. So you see how the destruction happens. Yeah.
Yeah. No, as you drew parallels with West Bengal in what's happening now, the question that comes to one's mind is that, I mean, do we have the maturity for a truly federal distributed democracy that we have chosen to follow? Because eventually, if an elected leader turns rogue and the fence's job is to protect the grass, if the fence starts eating the grass, which seems to be the case with West Bengal, evidently, how does one tackle it? I don't think there is an answer. Eventually,
No, Parag, see, here is the thing. I mean, I got your question. So, here's the thing. All these nice terms, no, federal democracy, distributed power, decentralized thing, all that is fine on paper. On theory, it is fine. But remember that theory comes after practice. Good or bad, there is a precedent in real life. You cannot learn music or singing by looking at notations. Alright, notations came because you had to codify music so they could be repeatable and verifiable. So that is how the theory, theory always follows practice, not the other way around. So whatever form of government you have, the primacy has to be on people, on the ruler. See, there is something called form and substance. Form is your monarchy, democracy, federalism, republicanism, whatever. This is a form. Substance is that the guy who sits on the seat of power, what is his character? What is his commitment? What is his inner training? Does he really mean well for the people? So in the Hindu statecraft, invariably there is one word which says Raja Prajavatsala, meaning a king is one who looks after the welfare of people. Politics is all about people, sir. It's not about theory. It's not about establishing systems. Yes, the systems are meant to, ensure certain safeguards. But like you said, the classic case of the fence eating the field. So, simple. So, any system is either as good or as bad as the people who populate it, who control it. Utna hi hai, as simple as that. So, could anybody imagine, even 30 years ago, that you will have a sitting chief minister who will bat for Pakistan? Even 30 years ago. Now they're doing it with impunity. So, it all boils down to people. Primacy is on people. So, this is why even in our Hindu statecraft, the king, just lest that he become an untrammeled despot or a tyrant, the king is supreme, but there is something supreme over the king which is called Dharma. So there is a beautiful scene in a Kannada movie called Shri Krishna Devaraya. So just before Krishna Devaraya is coronated, the night before he is coronated, his guru or his prime minister, he takes him aside and he looks at him and he glares at him and fat karke he gives him 3 consecutive slaps.
Okay.
And Krishna Devaraya looks at him and then he smiles. He says, I know you're doing this. You slapped me to keep me in check. That tomorrow I'm going to be a king and I shouldn't forget this. Very poignant scene. So the power that restrained king, a Hindu king, from becoming a unchained despot was something called Dharma. Coming back to Kashmir, there's another thing that not just me, but real great luminaries and savants over the decades have told. They have recommended, in fact, that our law enforcement and our military needs to take a compulsory course in comparative religions. the military, especially in today's scenario, uh, has to undergo a rigorous course in comparative theology or comparative religions, because Kashmir, on the surface, it might be an international problem, it might be a political problem, it might be a problem created by Pakistan. Yes, it is all true. But it is not just these. It is not merely an international problem. It's not even an Indian problem. It is a war zone that has been deliberately created by a medieval Middle Eastern theology that recognizes no borders.
Absolutely, well said. So this again, it might get into the political realm, but allow me to ask this. Every government, even post 2014, to a large extent, seems to be reactive. There is a fire, we rush to douse it, and then take measures around the fire. But there is no sustained pincer-like recognition, like you said, that it is essentially born of that Middle Eastern theological cult. So it will keep manifesting itself in the only form that they know, because there's no other form that they know. So unless that is recognized, a sustained pincer-like cleanse and permanent dismemberment or decapacitation, in whichever say, will never happen. So this action-reaction mode itself is costing us heavily, right? Whichever government is.
Yeah, it is. Unfortunately, see, this abrogation of Article 370 was a truly phenomenal move.
Yeah.
There are no two ways about it.
Absolutely.
And the revelations that came during the debate when the bill was being passed, what they say, Deemak ki tarah bahar aate hai na. Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary is saying this is an international problem.
Yeah, we watched.
So one part of the answer, yes, a strong political will is, needed to pretty much permanently solve this. And in this regard, you have to hand it over to Israel.
Exactly.
They know how to do it. You call Benjamin Netanyahu, whatever, you abuse him, call him a mass murderer, whatever it is, but there is no ambiguity in the founding charter of Israel.
Exactly.
Israel has made it a criminal offense to abuse Judaism on its soil. You automatically go into jail. Is it possible in India?
So, in fact, surprisingly, you may have read it. Tehseen Poonawalla of all the people has put out a long post saying the use of the word kafir should be proscribed, just like the SC/ST Act prohibits certain utterances.
Yeah.
It had to come from him.
Yeah.
This could have been done long back.
Absolutely. So, look, over the years, good question. This is a good point you raised. See, over the years, which sections of the Muslim community has the Congress always patronized and appeased? The worst, the most bigoted, the most fanatical elements of the clergy. And you give them money, what will they do? First thing they'll do is build madrasas. You know, it's an open secret of how many young Muslim guys, they're brainwashed since childhood, boss. Madrasa education.
That's the source of the...
And they'll cross over to the border and become even more hardened bigots out there, get military training, come back here and drop bombs. So, Congress has always been appeasing this faction of the Muslim society.
Yeah. I won't extend this point, but just the point about action reaction. Now, if you look at what is happening in Gujarat, this massive cleaning operation of illegals, including housing settlements. If you look at what is happening on the UP border, demolition or seizure of illegal madrasas on the Nepal border, or the eviction of Pakistani nationals in the hinterlands of Maharashtra and other states. The point is, even after 2014, I'm sorry to say this, as much as India's course corrected a lot after 2014, this is still a reaction. But
it is a reaction. Yes, I fully agree with you.
This could have been a sustained cleanse from day one.
Listen, we have to go back to Israel again. And in a earlier era, to US or even to many countries, no, not Europe, but US, yeah. They were so zealous about their immigration policy, their, border crossing and all that, that there is a classic, I remember one classic case that happened during Bill Clinton's first term. I think one of the top officials in Bill Clinton's cabinet, his cleaning lady was found to be an illegal immigrant from some South American country. The moment it was discovered, she was immediately deported.
There you go. I mean, right in the presence of.
Boss, Pakistan deports non-Pakistani Muslims. Bangladesh does the same thing. So long back, Arun Shourie, when he was writing about this topic, he had given a subtitle saying that, is this a country or a waste paper basket?
Yes, yes. I was about to go. Yes, yes. In his good days, he
when
used to say all the right things.
Days, yeah. But that's the point. You are absolutely right. You have to, if you don't show decisive action now, when it is already too late.
Yes. And the sentiment is in favor of decisive action.
Yeah. When else? How long will you wait? The tipping point has already been reached, Parag.
Yes, yes.
It's been reached long back. It's a miracle that we survived intact as a united nation from 2004 and 2014. If that election had gone wrong, I don't think we'd be having this podcast.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. So I think they have to take this kind of decisive action. And
permanent, irreversible action.
Yeah. And another point about this so-called Kashmir problem is that both Kashmir and Pakistan and even West Bengal, large parts of Kerala as well, what do they show? They show that only violence, chaos and bigotry and outright anarchy will occupy the place vacated by Sanatana Dharma.
Absolutely telling. Yes.
You take away the calming, the soothing and the tranquil culture built by the Hindu civilization, only these things will remain.
Evidence across
Which
the world.
Which constitution preserved our culture for 7,000 years, sir? Which laws preserved it? Huh? Because they've all but disappeared in places like Kashmir and Bengal and elsewhere, wherever you see this kind of violence, it is because the demography has changed. Hindu Dharma has been taken away from those places. It could be your mohalla, it could be your locality, or it could be Kashmir, or it could be Murshidabad, or Pakistan. Pakistan gets created because of this.
So, if I were to put it differently, I mean, you brought out a very, very insightful comment. In fact, it is a constitution which has caused the
Sir, the so-called modern, secular, socialist Indian, call it whatever, the Indian constitution was created by Sanatana Dharma and not vice versa. Pakistan also has a constitution. What does it first line say? It is an Islamic republic. So you cannot have something called, you can't say Islamic and republic in the same breath. It is a theocracy.
Yes, it is a theocracy. Right. So, what I was saying is the constitution in one fell swoop, in less than 100 years, has actually fragmented and diluted a civilizational giant like Bharatvarsha in 100 years, which lasted 7,000 years without a constitution.
See?
I mean, I'm just putting it across what you just said.
So, unless our leadership doesn't realize this, this will keep happening. Currently, it looks like as if a warlike situation has arisen, both going by the reaction of Pakistan and whatever news that we are slowly getting to know within India. And if a war happens in whatever form, let it be an absolute, final and completely decisive war, which is unambiguous in its purpose. And make no mistake that the world will celebrate the end of Pakistan, which should be the purpose and the final goal of this war. In which case the world will celebrate the end of Pakistan just as it celebrated the end of another monster called Stalin.
Thank you, Sandeep. I think some of the points you made were absolutely striking. The fragmentation of a civilizational state which survived and grew and thrived for 7,000 years. And look what has happened in the last 100 years when we have had a constitution in place. I think is a very telling point, which I'm sure all those who are listening will appreciate. And like Sandeep said, while a warlike situation has arisen, eventually a sustained permanent solution of the scourge or curse, as Sandeep called it, is the need not only for India but for the world. And if the Pahalgam Hindu massacre is not the final tipping point, I think it is shame upon all of us collectively. Thank you all for joining Dharma Podcast. Please continue to like, share, subscribe, and share the content further so that more such conversations can come to light. Appreciate your support. Thank you.